Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified when the next video comes out. It only takes 2 seconds to make 2 clicks. So let's do it. Let's get back to the video. Hello, Fearless Freedom fam. It is Dr. G, and we are here this week with Katrina Roddy. And Katrina is going to tell you all about who she is and what she's up to, because guess what? She's up to a lot. So here we go.
Hi, thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. My name is Katrina Roddy. I am best-selling author of Steal Your Skills from Corporate, but I'm also an entrepreneur coach, and I coach on the mindset that it takes to transition out of an employee status to becoming what I like to say the CEO of your life as a new entrepreneur. I spent 30 years, I started saying 30 plus years in corporate insurance before I was laid off. And it was at that moment that I took my 30 years experience and I married it to my entrepreneur spirit, and I became a coach to help people make that transition.
Awesome. And I see many opportunities where we could talk about fear there. So what happened? So when you got, so you're there, you are giving your all to corporate. And for years and years and years, like 30 years plus.
Yeah.
And right. And so that's like, I know this sounds weird, but this is actually the age of some people who are listening to the podcast. So, that's a lifetime for some that you have dedicated to this particular industry. And so now you got laid off. Can you tell us what kind of feelings you were having at that time? Did you have any fear about what the future was going to bring or anything along those lines?
Oh, you're so kind. All of those things happen. And this is what I do. I created, my company's called the Corporate Breakup for a reason, because I compare it to a personal breakup, and people don't realize that you do go through the same phases that you go through the grief stages, right? So there is anger, there's avoidance, there's sleep disturbances, there's just anxiety out of control because you don't know what to do. If you think about this, Dr. G, I've been in a structured environment for the most of my life. Like right out of high school, I went right into corporate America because that was one of my college courses. So I'd work part-time and they would report back to my school. So I started at a very young age, and that's all I knew. So when I got laid off, I have this vision that eventually I was going to leave and do something that I really wanted to, but I thought I had enough time to figure that out. Well, corporate said no. So it shocked my system, and I don't lie to people. I tried to get back into corporate. I just didn't feel good about it because I already had in my mind that I was going to leave eventually. And it just didn't feel the same for me. I'd been in it so long. Everything was, went round and round. So I had all of those things. I had anger, avoidance, anxiety, sleep disturbances. All of those things came along with it. And you think about this, it's the same things that people go through in a personal breakup, right? And people will gather around them and offer support and bring wine over and bring ice cream and bring all of those things over. But when you get laid off from corporate or you break up from corporate, they're like, that girl needs to find another job.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah. So the support system is a little different. So the fear is always, what am I going to do? What are the next steps? How do I overcome these things? What are other people doing in this situation?
So it kind of sounds like a couple of things happened. It sounded like you were trying to understand what was happening, right? Because now the thing that was constant is now a variable.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is you were trying to figure out what the next steps were. And then you actually tried to get back in
Yeah.
to what you knew, right? But
Yeah.
then you had like mixed feelings about that. So what caused you, or what was it that allowed for you to be able to make the pivot? Like, how did you make it?
So my strong desire to really figure out how to become an entrepreneur was louder than me going back to corporate. And so what I actually said was, hey, even though I said that I was going to wait about 4 or 5 years before I make this transition, what actually what God is saying to me now, it's your turn now. Like, let's figure it out now. What's gonna keep you from doing it now? And so at that point, I started, and I thought the natural progression would be to work as an independent contractor for a big company, because you're still kind of on your own, but they're telling you, do this or you're under a contract. And at that point, I was like, no, no, no. I just left corporate. And I know they always say it feels like it's like running your own business, but it's not. And at that point, I had started going to networking events, and I would, teach people how to budget, how to network, how to manage their book of business. All of these things I was helping people with because those things came natural to me. And one lady came up to me, Dr. G, and says, honey, you are giving out too much free information. This is your job.
Yes. Yep.
Your job.
So you
And
had
at
someone
that
who
point,
kind of recognized that, like,
yes.
excuse me, this should be behind a paywall. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't for free.
Exactly. This should be behind a paywall. And that's when I decided to put all of those things, because I realized these are things that I learned in corporate. These are things that I can help others with. And I compiled them all to one area. And that's when I created the book.
Oh, fantastic. All right. So now, if you're watching a video, then you can see that the book is on the screen there. But if someone isn't watching and listening to this in the audio format, do you mind talking about the book and saying a little bit more about what it is and the title and
Yeah.
everything?
Yep. So the title is Steal Your Skills from Corporate. And I really mean that, because that's what I did. It's an 8-step guide to help you transition from the beginning of you have a thought about being an entrepreneur, and it'll give you the tools and tips to guide you along the way. So for example, the first step that I work on with individuals is helping them identify what their skills are, like helping them pull their skills. And then by the time we get to the 8th step, we take everything that we've learned and we manage our time. Now, what's time management? How do we take all of that stuff and manage our time? Because a lot of people, and I'm sure you can agree with this, want to be entrepreneurs because they want to have a little free time.
Yes.
But they don't know how to do it. They
Nope.
don't know how
And
to do
sometimes it
it.
ends up being that you spend more time working on your
You spend
business.
more time, right? And so I take
I'm only
them through
saying that because
those
I've been
things.
there.
I'm there. I have to remind myself I have boundaries. So that's what I do. I take people through those steps. And then with additional information that I've learned along the way. How do you get yourself out there to be recognized in the marketing? How do you do podcasts? How do you pitch to other people? How do you pitch to be a magazine? I teach all of that stuff, and that's part of my coaching programs.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And then, so if somebody's interested in hiring you, how can they find you?
They can find me on my website is called thecorporatebreakup.com. That's easy enough. You're breaking up from corporate. And then I'm on all social media platforms at KRoddy65. That's KRODDY 65.
Okay,
So that's
cool.
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, whatever it is, it's KRoddy65.
Fantastic. That's actually a good tactic / hack or something, to have it be the same across all platforms. I learned that a few years ago, but I never
Yeah.
changed my Twitter.
I learned that with age. I'm like, I don't want to keep remembering these things.
Yeah, so well, worked out great because basically people don't really want to have to like remember different things. So my Twitter, I'm like, I only use my Twitter really for meetings anyway. So Twitter
Yeah.
to me is not really that like I don't focus on that platform, so I'm just kind of
Yeah.
like, ah, whatever, I don't care. But the other platforms, I'm like, no, it needs to be Charmaine Gregory, MD, and that's that.
Yes.
So, but yeah, but I learned that because I used to have it where it was like different names on different platforms. It's like, oh my gosh. But
Yeah, no.
consolidating a brand is very important. And so having the same name across all platforms is very helpful to your clientele and help for people to find you, right? Because then they
Yeah.
start searching you. And actually, I had two people search me recently, and I
I
thought I
couldn't
was
find it.
kind of taken aback by it because it was like not the setting where I would expect someone would have searched me. But anyway, they were
Oh,
like, "Hey, I
okay.
googled you," and I'm like, "You did? Okay." But then I remembered that I work very hard to control my narrative on social media. So,
Yeah.
so I wasn't like uncomfortable. I wasn't like, "Oh my God, what did you find?" Or
It
"Oh my
just felt
God."
odd, right?
I was just like, that's kind of weird. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, this is just bizarre. But yeah. So I guess people do that, huh? They
They
Google you.
do all the time. I've had people tell me stuff about me, and I'm like, wow. And and I know this is another topic, but it's so funny because even on YouTube, I didn't really know that I had a channel.
Huh?
I've had it for so long. And
Oh, I
so
see.
my
You forgot.
son, yeah, I just
Forgot you had
forgot. So
it.
my
Oh,
son,
okay.
my son was a competitive swimmer, and so I would put all of his stuff on YouTube to condense it so that I can share it with my dad. I didn't
Hmm.
realize that it was a channel and people were looking at it. So when I started putting some of my business stuff on there, they'll say, "Hey, I saw that picnic you went to, and I saw your son swim." And I'm like, "How are you seeing that stuff?" So I had to go back and block all of those and
Make
keep
those
it.
private. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make those like unlisted. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And I had to just open up the business one so that people can see that.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
anything to, there's nothing on there that's crazy. There's a ton of swim videos, but it
Right.
was just the fact that people I didn't want them to have to search for the business stuff
Right.
because they
Right.
can't really get to it because of the swimming. But
And then
yeah,
they're
it's
like,
funny.
what is your brand? Are you a corporate breakup? Or are you a swimming
Are you
mom?
a
What?
coach?
Like, what is going on? So
Yes.
yeah,
What are
there
you?
in order for there not to be confusion, totally makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Totally makes sense. Wow. So your son still, well, I mean obviously he's grown up now, right? Is
Yes.
he
He
grown up
is
now?
19.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he's
Oh
19
yeah, it's
now.
a grown up pretty much. Out the
Yeah.
house at least. At least you hope they're out the house. I don't know. At 19
Mm,
these days, sometimes they gotta
we're in
stick
a,
around just because times are
yeah.
rough out there. So
Yeah.
okay, cool. And so is he still swimming, or was it something he
No,
did as
he's
a kid?
actually not swimming anymore. He stopped swimming at the age of 15.
Oh,
And
okay.
he was a very elite swimmer. So his next stop would have been the Olympic trials, and we had already knew that how many seconds we were off from trying out. So his friends continue because he was with a pod of people who were elite swimmers, and we were supposed to go and see them last year at the Olympic
Oh,
trials, but
2020.
because of everything, yeah.
Yeah.
So if he had stayed with them, he would have been right with them, but he stopped, and he's a creative mind, so he has his arts, he has his music, he's creating a talk show, like all of these things are going on. He had gone to an art school in New York, so he went to the Pratt Institute.
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah, I know where Pratt is.
yeah,
I
yep.
grew up in New York City, so that's
Oh,
awesome.
where are you now?
I'm in Guam.
Okay. Oh, good for you. Get out this country.
Well, technically it's a territory, but yes, it
The
is. It's
territory.
not
Yeah.
like the U.S. at all. It's very different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you.
that's awesome that your son is so creative, though. I mean, that's great, and that he's
Yeah.
pursuing his dream. Pratt's a really great school, so I
Yeah.
know he's gotten the skills to really succeed in that area. So that's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah. He got in on a photography scholarship.
Oh
So
wow, and you got a scholarship too. That's even better.
yeah. So whenever I need my videos edited, guess who I go to?
Oh no, that's fantastic. It's good to have the talent right in the home, right in the
Right
family.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, that
Very
can be
good.
pretty expensive. Video editing can be pretty expensive. So
Oh yeah. I don't do many
yeah.
of them now. My formula is I wanted to be interviewed at X amount of time on my company and the book. And I'm kind of moving along. I've
Oh,
exceeded my
good.
goal so far. So I had to do a new goal, But then on the flip side of that, I get to call you one day and say, hey, will you be on my podcast? And I get to call
Oh
all of these people
yeah.
that I've had along the way. So there's strategy. Dr. G,
That
there's
sounds
always
fantastic. I love that
strategy.
strategy. It's great. It's so funny because like so my business manager, her name is Sherilyn. You probably interface with her.
Yeah.
So she was like, Sherilyn, give me a shout out. She's listening to this. So she's probably blushing too. So she was like, you need to get on more podcasts. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It's funny because I don't think of that because there was a time when I was getting on a lot of them and I was just kind of
Yeah.
like, okay. But now I'm just focused really on like interviewing as many people as possible just to kind of
Yeah.
like keep good content coming to the tribe and giving as many people as possible an opportunity to share their pearls with the tribe. And
I
so,
love it.
so yeah, so that's kind of like my vibe, right? But
Yeah.
she's like, no, but you need to get on shows.
You do. You
So
need
as
to
you're
get on
saying that, I
shows.
was like, oh yeah, I guess I should probably get on
Yeah.
some shows lately, again, start doing that
so
again.
so
So
eventually I'm going to flip the switch and then I'm going to have all of these podcasts that I've been on. I'm going to have interviews with them. So your name's on the list.
okay, all right, cool, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Coordinate
Good.
something. That sounds good. That sounds good. Awesome. And then so you have like so you had this ridiculous like push almost
Hmm.
into doing things for yourself, going all in for yourself, right? Becoming your,
Yep.
as you say, CEO of your life, right? And so then you like try to dip your toe back into corporate, you find out that's not really for you. It confirms your path, and
Yeah.
then you get this epiphany. You're guided by someone who kind of pushes you to see that you should not be giving away everything for free, that you should have some items that you are putting behind a paywall and serving your people with.
Hmm.
And so then you embark on the coaching venue. Now, did you do any training, or did you just like kind of do it and just use experiential training as your litmus? Like, what did you do there? Like,
So
how did that
a
go?
little bit of both, a little bit of both. So when I did my book, I did have a writing coach, a writing slash business coach. And unbeknownst to us, the writers who were completing their book with this publisher, she just happened to be best friends with Marianne Williamson. And Marianne
Okay.
Williamson is famous author, spiritual leader, at one point spiritual leader to Oprah, ran for president 2016. So she would come to me and coach me, and we coached
Wow.
for a while. And she just she's the one who helped me with my mindset, coming out of corporate. You're writing this book. I thought at one point, oh, it's just a business book. Oh, it's just a business book. I'm giving people tips. And she helped me realize that you're not just giving people tips, but you're literally helping them through that transition. That
Oh yeah.
transition can be very daunting. And you've
Hmm.
gone through it and you know how that feel because you sat in that pain for a minute before it kicked in for you to say, I need to do something. I need to make some moves. And those are the things that I coach others on as well. So when I first started coaching, it was interesting because I thought I was just going to help them pull their skills, right? I'm going to help you pull your skills. We're going to go through these steps. But what I learned very early off was I literally am helping them with the transition of the fear of transition. And that's
Wow.
what most of them are coming through. They're coming through, it's a fear of transition because corporate is so different than being on your own. You've been
Hmm.
told what to do, you've been told what time to come in, who your clients are, what time you're going to eat, who your friends are, told all of that. When you come over to become an entrepreneur, nobody tells you those things. You kind of have
Mm-mm.
to figure these out, and you're following other people and you think they're doing well, and a lot of people are show,
Oh
they're on
yeah, yeah.
paper,
That
they
show
look
this the
great.
Instagram whatever, like
Yes,
the Instagram
yes.
filters on, not
Yes,
no realism
all of that.
whatsoever.
They all have filters. So, and I really felt, I do feel passionate about helping entrepreneurs get to the next step. Here's the next step for you. Here's the next step. And at one point, you don't need me as a coach, you'll need somebody else. I still have a coach. My coach has a coach. And I think that's the one thing I want them to understand is that you can't do this alone, and you're not alone in this world mindset that you have. Other people have gone through it, And that's why I strictly focus on making sure they learn how to be vulnerable and share their story.
Awesome. 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 I love it. Yeah. And so that all the things you say, I'm like, oh, look at that. Because, because, it's really, really funny. Like I am a hybrid, right? So I still work full time in the hospital,
Mhm.
and then I run my businesses on the side. So like my businesses are like my side gigs,
Yeah.
and so like, but I completely understand that, because when I'm working on my business, I am thinking as though not, like I'm thinking as though this is the main gig. I don't know if that makes sense, but I treat it like it's the main gig, but it's actually the
Yes.
side gig, right? Until it becomes the main gig, like till it makes enough
Yeah.
money that it becomes the main gig. But in the process, you do have that issue, right? So you have that issue where you're like, okay, how much time do I spend, reaching out to
Yeah.
people to try to get them to recognize what I do, and how much time do I spend creating content, like all these things that you have to kind of you have control over, but you just don't know like how much time to divvy up to
Yes.
each item to make
Yeah.
sure that you're not like dying, right? Because then what
To make
happens
sure
is you
your
get
business is growing.
make sure it grows, right? Make sure it grows. And for a long time, I did not care. I treated my businesses like hobbies. And for many years, I treated them like hobbies and not like businesses. And it was actually okay that that happened,
Mhm.
because the reason why that happened was because essentially fitness got me out of burnout, but really entrepreneurship helped
Mm.
get me out of burnout. So, like I went through this ridiculous time where I was burnt out, didn't want to do medicine anymore, was ready to walk away kind of thing. And I started working out, consistently with a group. And then I became a fitness coach. And then I started a business around fitness coaching. And so I became very involved, and I fell in love with that whole business aspect, but I was treating it like a hobby. And that was good at the time because it helped me to learn the skills while I'm still like living my life. And it helped me to be able to utilize those skills that I learned in entrepreneurship in my practice of medicine. And it helped me to be a better doctor,
Yes.
which is crazy, right? So I didn't realize all this. So then, I get to the point where I'm like, okay, wait, I really want to like have this make money now. Like, what I do? And that part was a difficult transition. I was like, I just don't know. I mean, I've been doing this like kind of
How
like
do
what
I
you're
do
doing.
that?
I was doing a lot
Yeah.
of things for free. And I was like, not wanting to charge people because I'm like, oh, there's they need this. This is great information. This is great content. They need this, and it's helping them. And I was always afraid. I was always the one that didn't want to ask for money. Like I was just like, I don't
Yeah.
want to ask for money. I don't want to charge. I don't want to seem like that person. Like, I mean, come on, really? What is that
But
person?
it also was a passion for you though, and that's why
Yes,
you
yes.
you allowed yourself to do it. So that's one of the questions I do ask when I start coaching people. Would you do this for free? Because it kind of teaches me, like, if this is their passion, then they have to be told to ask people for money. It's one of those
Yes. I
things.
had definitely
Yeah.
had to be told.
Yeah. So did I. So did
It's
I.
like, you may wanna, I mean, your time is pretty expensive. I'm like, yeah, I know, but this is kind of like, no,
Yeah.
no, your time is
Yes,
expensive. Like,
exactly. Oh, yeah, I
but
get
yeah.
it.
So some good stuff, some good stuff. So
Yeah,
if there
you'd
are any
be you'd be
entrepreneurs listening, take heed. you you have to figure out whether you treat your business as a hobby or it's
yeah.
actually a business. And then you should definitely, even if it is your passion, you should definitely ask for something. Even if you're not going to ask for, the highest amount, but like start asking
Your
for something.
time,
Yeah, because
your
your time is
time
very
and the
valuable.
skills.
Very
Yep.
valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that lesson.
That's real talk. I promise you. And you'd be surprised that, but I actually started off as a business manager for my friend who was a fitness coach. And I did
Okay.
that while I was still working in corporate, just helping them because, I had the business skill part of it. And it was one of our other good friends who came to me and was like, people pay for what she's doing for you, mister. Because I was helping them out same way. Never looked,
Yes.
I looked at it as it was a hobby for me. And that's when I learned that I had these things that I had developed over time at corporate. And I just started using them. Presentation skills. I had all of these interpersonal skills. I can talk to the C-suite because that's all I did. I worked in corporate insurance for a very long time with some very high-end clients. So these are things that I just took along with me. But one thing I will say, and I want your audience to know because I continue to say corporate, but corporate can be a metaphor for life. You do have some life skills that maybe you aren't aware of because you do them so easily and someone else needs to point them out. And I like to use the example of if you have a mom, or I was a sports mom because I talked about my son being a swimmer, but had to organize like the travel for the team or organize the snacks or the concession or whatever. You have organization skills. You can organize things, and you could, there are some people I watch these shows, and I see these people organizing their entire homes, and they have a show and they make money from that. They do it with ease. I don't do it. I
No,
would
me
hire
neither.
them.
I'm struggling.
Right.
I'm struggling. I'm looking at this office right now and I'm like, man, I need to organize this office. Whew, stress.
Yes. So there's skill. My point is there's skills everywhere that you may have, and you can definitely make a career out of that because if you're doing them easily, those are the things that make you happy. And you can
Yes.
definitely develop a career from those. And then I give you 8 steps because I'm really sure that you can do these things on your own. But if you ever feel like you need accountability, you need help getting through those things, some extra, and that's when people hire me because I do. I give it all. It's all in the book.
Wow. No, that's awesome. But I mean, I'm sure there's definitely great value in the book, but people do realize that, like,
Yes.
getting the coaching is huge, because I
Yep.
mean, everybody needs a coach, like you said.
Yep.
LeBron James, I love talking about this man because he is the ultimate in like coachability, right? So this guy,
Yeah.
he's the top of his game. He's upper echelon, elite athlete, and he invests millions into coaching
Yes.
still
Yeah.
because he's like, look, I'm not at the top. I mean, he's at the top, but he's like, I'm not at my best. And he's
Yeah.
like, look, in order for me to maintain my position, advance further, grow more, I need to have someone to see my blind spots. And I can't see them,
Yes.
right? Because that's
That's
why
what
they're
it
blind
is.
spots. So he gets coaches for everything. And I think that's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. So it's kind of funny to me sometimes when people are like, oh, I can't believe you spend that much on coaching. I'm like, oh my God, why wouldn't I? It's totally worth it.
Exactly.
Like, it's like,
Yeah.
look at how much he spends. I don't spend nowhere near where he spends. But you know what? He sees that return on investment so many times
Yep.
over. And so
And
it's
you
like,
get
well,
there
what are you looking
quicker.
at? You get there a
Yeah.
lot faster. And your time, like we talked about just a minute ago, is very precious. So if you
Yep.
want to get somewhere fast, then you get your coach. Like that is just the
Yeah.
bottom line.
You like to use LeBron James. I like to use Serena Williams.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh,
I've
yes.
watched that lady. Oh my gosh. There's a documentary out about her, and I've watched that documentary, and I watched what her coaches do for her. And she probably has a coach for each arm and each leg.
Oh
She
yeah.
believes in making sure.
She's
Yeah, she's
phenomenal. She's
incredible.
phenomenal. There's
Yeah.
no doubt. No doubt about it. Oh
Yep.
my goodness. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And you know what? We could have this conversation for quite a while, but we have to we have to
Aw.
we have to cut it short. Well, this just means I gotta come on your show then. There you go. It's settled.
That's good. Good. Good.
So we have a tradition on the show. It is the fill in the blanks. Are you ready,
Okay.
Katrina? Okay. All right.
Sure. Let's fill
All
them in.
right. Awesome. So the first one is if I am fearless, I will.
Okay. If I am fearless, I will oh man, that's a hard one. I will conquer homelessness.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot here. I'm in
That's a
Chicago and I see it
Oh
all the
yes.
time.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. I could totally see
We
that.
spend so much money on other things and I'm like, got some people here that need help.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a huge big city problem though. I think
Yeah, it is.
New York City was huge with that. Miami is big with it. Like it's a lot of cities unfortunately where the cost of living is higher. People just can't
Uh-huh.
always make ends meet. So No,
Yeah.
that's a great one. That's a great one.
I mean, there's a homeless population with colleges. Well, this before COVID, but I didn't realize that. And I was talking to one of the deans who works downtown at a school, and I heard that, and I'm like, I don't get it, but there is. So
Wow.
anyway, next question.
All right. So the next one is, to me, fearless freedom means.
It means conquering the what if statement. A lot of times people get stuck behind, what if I don't have enough friends? What if I don't have enough family that support me? What if I don't have enough anything? But they don't realize that we're in a balanced world, and what if goes both ways. So what if you do
Yes.
have enough friends that support you? What if you do succeed at this? What if you do? So it means conquering the what if statement and using the other side.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. That goes along with fear too, by the way. Talk about that
Yes.
sometimes. All right, awesome.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, my battle cry is.
Oh, my battle cry is to all entrepreneurs to stand up and do what fills your heart.
Awesome. 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 Thank you, thank you, thank you for taking time out of your busy day and spending time with the Fearless Freedom Tribe. We appreciate you, and we're wishing you all the success in your coaching and in sales of the book and in conquering homelessness, all of the things, all the passions we wish you great success with. And we hope that you will
Thank
do
you.
so fearlessly. Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you for having me part of
Awesome.
your show. I love it.
Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. No problem. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. Again, I'm Dr. G. And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe so that you can get notified of when the next episode is going to be. And also, I'll catch you next time. Have a great one. Be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.